And there's a motion, there's a couple motions here. Everybody? There's a couple motions on the table. I'd like to bring
We're having a meeting here.
back into the meeting back in. Jan's got a motion. John has a motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
John's withdrawn his motion. Jan, would you accept two and we'll vote on it?
If that's John's motion.
No, I
You
withdrew
made a
my
motion
motion.
for two. You made a motion for two.
Well, what are you saying when you withdraw it? You don't, it doesn't matter? We proceed with the
I
same-
said I'm not pushing for 3 anymore. That's all. I withdrew my motion.
I will agree to 2.
Okay. Any more
Mr. Mayor?
discussion?
Yes, I'd like to finish my comments.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Greg was the only applicant, and we all supported him. But one of the big things that some of us were concerned about was the behavior of council, whether we could work together. And Greg did a great job trying to get us together. And I have plenty of emails he wrote. And it was pointing out the behavior of one council person. During the town administrator discussions, at one time, one council person became very angry, stood up, and called another council person a two-faced SOB, and then stormed out. And it was shortly after that, and Greg looked like a deer in the headlights.
Charlie,
Whoa, whoa.
you're not telling the truth. You're not telling the truth, and you're going to have the Beacon reported, and people are going to believe it.
Rich.
Why do you lie?
Mr.
He's not
Serrato.
lying.
Mr. Serrato, please, you're out of order.
He had a disagreement with Mr. Benton.
Wrong meeting.
Oh, wrong meeting.
Chief,
It's
have a
true.
short recess
I
with you,
did
please.
call Mr.
Short recess,
Benton
please.
that. Am I asked to leave?
Yes, you are.
Ms. Lewis, I will interview you tomorrow and provide you public records. This is a disgrace in democracy. It's all about power and control.
Rich, please leave.
And it started with Mayor Weiss in last July. It's a disgrace. And I'm embarrassed to be a council member in this town. This campaign manager, Ms. Joseph, thank you.
Don't forget your keys.
Whoa. Please stop. Please stop. Charlie, could we just no more comment? Let's make a vote on this. Forward, please.
No, I want to finish my comments.
No, Rich is not here.
I don't, look.
Charlie, please, let's be civil and go forward with the discussion about the mayor vacancy. Please, Charlie.
Mark, just one thing.
Okay.
Mr. Serrato sits here and tells lies. He takes his paper and
Well-
he gives it to Laura Lewis, and everybody, the Beacon will print it, and everybody will believe it's the gospel.
I know.
The fact is, Greg did not resign. What I was trying to say was, after Mr. Serrato left that meeting, he threw his hands up in the air, and he looked me right in the eye, and he said, "Charlie, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I'm doing any good."
Well, okay, Charlie, thank you for saying that. We have a motion on the table, Jan,
Yes.
with two candidates. Any more discussion on that? Can we make a motion, please?
Did it?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to do what I just had to do. I mean, I really hated it. I have warned Rich Serrato no less than 100 times, stop disrupting the meetings. You have something to say it, and get it over with. But he procrastinates up here, and he just disrupts his whole meeting. You know, you can agree to disagree, but do it right and proper. And sorry I had to do that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not put the council through this anymore. I'm not going to put the town through it anymore. And if I'm the mayor for 1 day or 9 months, this is the new rule. It's not going to be disruptive town council meetings anymore. All right, sorry. Now, I guess the next subject is budget amendment, sunset at sunset.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the budget amendment for Sunset at Sunset.
Right. I just had to add one more thing, Charlie. I'd like to put you permanently on sunset at sunset, since I'm not going to these meetings and I don't have the extra time to do that. So would you please do that full-time for me this year?
Oh, I would be glad to do it. It's a
Thank
great group to work with.
Karen, you okay with that? Okay. So, any discussion?
At least give her a
jump the gun
chance
a
to
little
talk.
I think for the record, I'd like Tara to come up here and at least explain what this,
Okay.
Exactly.
I wasn't sure where to go. Let me get to my page. I'm sorry, I shut it when. With this, with the budget amendment for this, I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that this budget amendment is not coming out of general fund. The Sunset at Sunset has their own fund balance, so it is not coming from, like, taxes. It's coming from revenue that's been received by Sunset at Sunset in the past, and this is just it's 2,190 to take care of some expenses for this year.
What's their total budget right now?
The total budget,
The balance, rather, I'm sorry.
their fund balance
Yeah.
is 18,000.
And they're requesting $2,some hundred.
2,190.
Is it, yeah, I mean, is it a request or is it just authorizing the transfer, movement of funds to
It's
an account?
basically
where it could be
moving money from their savings account into the current budget.
So this is an accounting function that we're going through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a motion on the floor?
There's no,
Yes.
there's a motion. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks,
Thank you.
The disposition directives.
On number one, I'm working on a resolution, and I'll be ready to present it for our meeting on March 19th.
Which item, John?
Number one,
Oh, one.
updating the offshore drilling resolution.
And what date do you put that on?
Put on the 19th, March 19th meeting, sorry. And just as a comment, I've reached out to BEAT, as Mr. Gilbert said, and I've been getting some good inputs from various organizations that have information in terms of how to put together and craft such a resolution.
Okay. Jan, do you have anything to add or put on?
No.
Charlie?
No.
Okay, approve the directive. All right, budget workshop, goals of council, and the upcoming budget.
the idea here is hopefully to have y'all come up with your goals and objectives for the coming year and the budget, projects y'all want to see, initiatives y'all want to see started, department functions you want to see. They'll be coming with their presentations to y'all in a few weeks, but this will give us the opportunity to see and make changes on their end if there's something specific to a department or if there's other items that y'all want, we can go ahead and start doing the research on that, and then at our April meeting, see where the goals, or the 19th, see where the goals line up together. But this would be any of the projects y'all have talked about wanting to start. I'd like to get a consensus that that is something y'all want to actually look at. It's not just what one person wants to look at, but the council as a whole, so that staff's not spending all their time researching something that may not see fruition. Whether it's like 2, 3 people, I mean, I don't need a full consensus like a vote, just an idea that this is something that we need to spend our time doing. And I've already made a list of stuff if y'all can't come up with anything that y'all have talked about over the last year and a half, so.
You'll add that in afterwards? If we miss it?
After whatever y'all have got, if it hasn't been checked off in here, I'll bring it back up for you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, Rich not being here, and this is what he likes to talk about, and I feel bad that he's not here, but we're going to continue with it.
Before listing individual things, I just sort of, one of the things was requesting consensus on goals and objectives, and sort of my sense at this point in time is looking for no tax increase, depending on how the budget comes out, that we do a comprehensive job of addressing our existing and anticipated needs, which will be some of these things that come back out here, and that to the extent that we have surpluses that may come from the current budget or the next budget, they go into future building funds and acquisition funds for projects that we'll be talking about here today. So that's 3 broad overarching objectives that I'd like to kind of use to help the conversation.
I would like to look at 1 penny savings, lower the taxes by 1 penny if we can. I like to put the money we're saving, Tara, in the fire balance, because it's being funded almost completely by the fire tax, correct? And the money goes, yeah, and then we take that money and put that towards maybe your building fund, John, or looking at recycling on the beach, and so that's with the fire funds now that the $1.7 million budget is covered by that completely, so the town does not have to fund the firehouse anymore. So
That's the way it's looking. We
Let
won't
me change a
know, we
little
won't
bit,
know for
but-
sure until the end of the year.
Right.
But it's on track for what we thought it would be, with very little general fund coming in to support the fire department.
So what I'd like to do is make, whatever money's left over, by not budgeting the fire department, put that to the general fund with, looking for a Department of Maintenance building or land, maybe the dog park, but other things that we could look at this year with that savings. Charlie?
Mr. Mayor, here are my thoughts. Town of Sunset Beach is in great financial shape. It will take hard work and hard choices to maintain our financial shape. Our tax rate is 15 cents. Only one North Carolina coastal town has a lower rate. I would like to see a lower tax rate, but now is not the time to lower taxes. We need to continue to build our reserves. Look at the damage done by a downgraded Category 1 hurricane, Florence, not too far up the coast. We were lucky. Even as a Category 1, we sustained a lot of damage. Had Florence hit us directly as a Category 3 or Category 4, there probably wouldn't be much left of Sunset Beach Island. And it's not just an island problem. The mainland would have been devastated. We need to be better prepared, and a larger reserve is the start on that. Our population is growing. More people mean more need for town services. Public safety is one of my big concerns. We need 4 more police officers and 4 more firefighters. 2 police officers patrolling at any one time is a recipe for disaster. And we barely have enough firefighters to man 2 fire stations. We sorely need a new home for Public Works. They have outgrown their current facility. There is no place to park all of the equipment, place to park it undercover, all of our equipment. That includes the new stormwater equipment. There's no room to store materials. Their current space is an eyesore. This needs to be done sooner than later. We need to continue to offer better pay and benefits to our town employees. Our employees are an asset. If we expect the same caliber of service, we need to retain and hire good employees. These are the things we need now, and yes, we're the ones that will have to pay for them. And for a future item for me, on my wish list is mandatory recycling. Recycling has to be convenient and less expensive. Our new Environmental Resource Committee would take the lead in this and probably past my time on council, but I'd like to see the ERC think about looking into a zero waste policy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to see two things. I would like to see better progress on our stormwater management. I would like to see us start looking at other ways that we can address our stormwater that's more friendly to our ecosystems around us. And I would also like to see us address our serious parking issues that we have, not only just on the island, but on the mainland as well. And I'd like to see us look into grants for both of those things.
Ready for my list?
No. You already said your list.
No, I gave overarching goals.
Yeah, John.
Okay, one is start budgeting for land to expand parking in Town Hall and possibly the building as we need it. Two is land, as Charlie said, for the new DPW facility. And then we have to start thinking about a construction fund for actually building a DPW facility. I think that we should allocate money for a professional parking study. Not a committee, but have a professional come and do that and advise us on how we can handle this stuff on the island and on the mainland. And I don't know what a reasonable price is for that, but that would be there. We have agreed on a resolution for a, climate change mitigation program. I think we should take somewhere along the lines of $100,000 and put it into a fund to go to have that dedicated as resources to start taking actions on some of these programs in our climate change program, whether it be recycling or stormwater studies for how to control runoff from roofs and streets and things like that, other than what we're doing in our stormwater management program. For the third time now, I think we should do a formal salary and benefit study so that we actually have a good base of data and information in terms of where our town employees and our town stands in terms of the salaries and benefits. I think that we should establish a nonprofit fund along the lines of $50,000 and then figure out an appropriate way to allocate some, if not all of it. I think, as one of our citizens pointed out in comments, not only do we have generous people in this town that support the nonprofits, however, we do have people in the town that are not quite in a position to support the nonprofits, but they do pay taxes. And so by having the town council allocate funds to support the nonprofits is a way that we can become very much more inclusive in terms of that. I think we should look at a 3% raise for staff. CPI is running somewhere between 2 and 3%, so that keeps it in line. A CPI, cost of living index raise, is different than a performance raise, and I think we should just go ahead through and keep up with the cost of living. And I think we ought to throw on there at our budget discussions, a $500 holiday bonus for the end of the year. And that's all I came with up so far. But I'm sure I could figure out something else, some other way to spend money, so.
Okay.
Again, the idea being, when we get the data on what our income in, we start prioritizing what we're going to do. And some of these, particularly the land acquisition and expansions, would be primarily, I think, based on any budget surpluses that we end up with at the end of the year and next year. That's all I have right now.
Hiram, what's your list?
Well, just, most of y'all have covered everything y'all talked about in the past, but also 39th Street access, emergency access. It's a now or never kind of thing to decide whether we move forward with that or repair the existing walkway because it needs to be repaired. And restrooms at the gazebo. At least one of the restrooms needs to be pulled off and replaced. Or I know there's been talk about asking if there's a way we can do permanent, and we're still trying to research that deed to make sure that we could make permanent alterations or not. But either way, money for a new restroom is going to need to probably, it's one of Dustin's items that y'all have talked about in the past.
Now, would we be able to put a bathroom in by the pier and by the road, or just one?
That's why we're looking at the deed to see where exactly we could make permanent alterations to the property. But right now, there's one by the gazebo and the one up at the road.
Right.
We'd have to replace one of those trailers.
And what's the cost of that? 95,000?
Dustin's still looking into that.
Okay.
But everything else, I think y'all hit.
I think we're all in agreement, you know, recycling is an issue in this town. We need to address this. You know, you go to the beach and those cans are just full of cans and bottles, and it's a waste. You know, we could put a lid on those cans just so bottles and cans could go through there. So I think we have a lot of good ideas. Again, we're not going to do everything we like because of budget, but it's a good start, and we'll go from there.
All right. If I may, real quick, starting with the stormwater issues, we are hoping to accelerate the plan forward, but we have been putting out a lot of fires this year on stuff that's, in the past, we just patch it. We're fixing it now so they don't have to come back and fix it later. So that stalled out the plan a little bit, but in that time, we could also look at ways of doing more eco-friendly management of that water, mostly for, you know, right around our intercoastal waterway and on the island where most of it just may feed out into the waterways. But I think Rich is already planning on speaking to some of that. And he's already got it as part of his initiative to start finding solutions in the coming future. So I don't know how much y'all want to dwell on that today or just wait for his presentation and revisit at his presentation.
I think we should wait until Rich comes and makes his presentation.
Okay.
We're all pretty much agreed that that's a priority.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And I don't want to step on his toes if he's already got what he's already got planned for y'all, so we can talk about that at his presentation part. Let's just find the dog park. Is that something we want to actively pursue looking at this year? I can mention that we do own property out that FEMA has purchased through FEMA, but it's not in a location I would actually put a dog park. Otherwise, you're probably going to need to look for property.
Where is it located?
What's the name of that road? It's right on the way to Calabash. Right past 40. I'm past Forest. You had to ask me right now, didn't you?
Is the Devon Park that?
No,
on
it's
that
up.
road?
It's right above Bonaparte and all that. We need a map in this room. Anyway, it's a small parcel that was it was a buyout from flood damages. But what I'm saying is it's not really ideal location because there'd be nowhere to park. You can't make any improvements to the property outside of a park. But a park is an improvement on the property that you're allowed to do, but it has to be all open, no impervious surface, things like that, no structures, which would be ideal for a dog park if we could find ways to park, but it is in a residential community.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a dog park, are you saying you're gonna eliminate dogs in our park?
I don't think you can really. I mean, you can, I guess, but I don't know if that'd be a good idea.
No.
I'm just
I don't
saying,
think
giving
so
people
either.
the option if they want to have free running for their dogs, because we require leashes at the park,
Yeah.
and a dog park you don't.
I think we should look for a location that would serve a variety of needs, but definitely not be in the park, nor just because we create a dog park someplace else. I think we still want to keep dogs on leashes
Yeah.
in the park. And now, Mr. Benton has volunteered in terms of the community processes there to look into and start investigating that. So do you want to defer that to the staff, or you want to continue what you're
I'll
doing?
do it and then give it to the staff after I get it all together.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
We need land for new public works. The land that RMI have looked at, there'd probably be enough land there to have a dog park there also. It's just one option. I haven't had dogs for years, but I used to take mine early in the morning to a tennis court and throw the ball.
And overlapping needs is a way to conserve money and space. So, I mean, we can look at that while we're looking at land, because we are talking about a potential sizable lot for Public Works and Stormwater combined, so we have a laydown yard that's not detrimental to the surrounding areas.
What kind of land do you need for the Department of Works?
I'm still waiting for Dustin to get back, but, I mean, we're talking at least 2.5, 3 acres as a minimum, so that we can keep a modest buffer around future development and, you know, attractiveness for the community, so they don't have to look at what they're storing out there.
Anything else?
So we're in consensus that Public Works land and possible dog park land, something.
Together, yeah.
Yeah.
Councilman Corbett brought up a COLA raise. Essentially, is that what y'all want to look at as opposed to merit increases?
That's what I want
I
to look
think
at.
it should be merit.
I like merit too.
All right, can we just,
Can we look at both?
yeah, we can hash that out. 3% is 3%. So, I mean, if you want to leave it at
Right.
3% merit or in COLA, it's, budgeting wise, is the same.
Yeah, how we get there, John, it
Okay.
doesn't really matter. As long as we get
Well,
there.
we can figure a way. The reason I like merit, well, I like the COLA also, but the reason I like merit is it gives somebody, an employee, a reason to work hard. I want that merit pay, so I'm going to do my job and do it well. That's my way of thinking.
Okay.
All right, so we'll look at 3% either merit or COLA, but mostly merit is what I'm getting.
Yes.
Yep.
And also to add the $500 bonus for the budget.
Was that a consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Unless you guys do a bad job.
Well,
then you
just for
get it.
discussion wise, just
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm not looking for a final vote. I'm just
Yeah.
looking for what we're going to put and present to y'all in the budget numbers.
Yeah, I'd like to see the numbers. Yeah.
All right.
And like what Jan mentioned earlier, the fund that we're saving for the fire department, I'd like to see if we can put that almost all, or most of it, to stormwater. Stormwater's been neglected for 30 years in this town, so it really needs to be addressed.
All right. While we're talking on stormwater, the climate control stuff, talking about doing a fund, is that something y'all want to see us, because that would require y'all actually setting the fund and allocating money from the general fund into it every year, or having a policy to do so. So look at setting up a fund for that kind of stuff.
That's what we haven't done, and we should do
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
yes.
I agree.
That works.
Yes.
And going with that would be also, we're looking at maybe a capital improvement fund, so doing both. And that way we can add in the building and other items that we could put money away and pretty much store it for a few years and
Yeah.
then pay when we're ready. So we can not combine those two, but we can set up two.
Or
multiple
at least
funds.
have a down payment when,
Yeah, we'll look at capital funds and environmental funds actually being established for transfer. So that brings up the question on the mandatory recycling. Is that something y'all want to review this year?
Yes.
Are we going to say yes to everything that's on this list?
No.
I can save us a lot of time.
Yeah.
You're-
I mean, when we get through and we see all the numbers and they come out, we can obviously make
Yeah, I mean,
adjustments.
you'll be
This
pulling
is-
off, I'm just looking to make sure that these are efforts you want staff to focus on researching this fiscal year.
Yeah.
Right.
Beach recycling, that's not the same as the mandatory for the homeowners, that'd be
Beach
changing out the
recycling, We have
cans.
to look into that.
Yeah,
Aaron.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
The waste of all that energy.
So along with that would probably go towards the zero waste policy for review by the ERC. While we're talking about, back to the funds, so you also want to do a nonprofit fund? Kind of just do a line item for nonprofits every year?
Yes.
I would like to have that, then we can make decisions as to whether we allocate it, how we allocate it, when we allocate it.
All right. Public Works, we'll get to personnel in a second.
And again, we're just looking at these things. That's not guaranteed that we're going to do all these things. So.
Talking about Public Works land, but you also mentioned Town Hall land and for extra parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty obvious that's only one place we can go towards, so.
yeah.
All right.
He knows that.
And then on parking, parking study, I think the numbers that were brought up at the community meeting was a $50,000 discussion, you know, for someone to come in at that time. We can placeholder some numbers until we do some research on that.
I just
But
don't know
a
where-
professional study, it's staff's opinion. I don't think there's anyone on staff qualified to do what y'all want done ultimately. There just isn't. We don't have engineers, and while I think I'm good on some things, I'm not a traffic planner either. So I think either at the very least looking at GSATs to come in and help us, but probably the more accurate would be actually hiring a consulting firm that does traffic analysis and parking studies.
Yeah. That's the idea. to
But is
do-
that
to-
something, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not for it, but
Yeah.
I will look into the cost and see what
Yeah.
it costs. I think,
Yeah.
you know, parking is
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah, I mean, and part of this process, we go out and do the ad, we put out and request for proposals, and then proposals come back in, and the professionals start telling us what are the things they're gonna do, and what they think they should do, and then how much it's gonna cost, and then we'll have data that we can, you know, we don't have to accept the proposal when it comes in, but we can learn from it, let them do the work, and get the data for us, and then go from there.
all right, and I think the only thing we haven't really touched on, salary benefit study is,
I'm against that. So. I'm consistent, though.
well, we've already got some numbers in previously, so we know what we could look at if y'all want to try going back out again.
I just don't feel like $30,000 or $25,000 for a study, which I think our employees are paid comparable, if not better, than most towns around here. We have good benefit, great benefits, and you know, if we're going to give them another 3% raise, I don't like spending money on studies. You know, you're talking 2 studies of maybe $50,000, which I'd rather give that to an employees for bonuses and stuff. So I'm against studies on salary.
I think we continue to make decisions concerning our staff without having any good solid data. And that's where I'm coming from. That's why I think we ought to
But
do
John, I
it.
understand what you're coming
Yeah.
from. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think you know, what I've looked into other towns from Wrightsville Beach all the way down to Calabash, our salaries are all in line, if not better, and the benefits are as good as not better. So why do we need a study to tell us that we're paying our employees a lot of money? Or a fair wage? I mean, that's what we're basically looking into. So,
Well, perhaps we could do it a different way and have each one of the department heads come back and report to us their assessment of how their scale relates to comparable towns in the county and that.
I think that's a fair
I mean,
compromise.
you know, and
Did you do that, Hiram?
is that doable? Realistic?
Probably not by the time they get to their presentations, but maybe by the April meetings. They could have at least a rough draft. The problem's going to be the benefit part. As you know, police chief came to you last year talking about take-home cars. That's a benefit for the police. A lot of jurisdictions do that, so that's one thing that's easily comparable. But take into account that there's also public works departments that do take-home trucks, and that's something that we do. So I think they'll be able to look around at a few things, but I think salaries, easy part, the extra stuff is gonna be the difficult part for the department heads to figure out.
Well, right now, if we just do the salaries, that would be a start.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's not a problem. I think they can probably have something by April.
Is that okay, John?
Okay, sure.
All right.
And you okay with that?
Sure.
39th Street access. You know, there's been talk about making it a West End emergency access.
But weren't we turned down by both homeowners?
I don't know if anything's been final. I just know that we've been talking about it over the last few months, and Dustin's, you know, wanting to know which way he needs to go on it, so
So how wide a space do we need?
I think a minimum of 10 feet is what or 15 feet. I can't remember. Dustin's out sick. He'd be here.
So are we gonna cut through the dunes?
Why do we need that?
It's just, it's easier for emergency access for like the fire department or EMS to get out there if there's a problem on the west end as opposed to going to the gazebo and having to transverse over. It's for that access part of it. However, if that's not a route that we want to go, the walkway itself does need to be repaired. So that's what Dustin, I think, is going to try to put on for next year's list if we don't go this way.
Can we make the walkway wide enough to have
It can only go 6 feet wide.
that's the max?
That's
So
CAMA.
How would we make an emergency if we're gonna go 6 foot wide?
It wouldn't be a physical walkway anymore.
So it'd be through the dunes.
There'd be no construction, yeah. But it'd have to go through all the proper permitting and all that.
I think just fix
Fix the walkway.
Yes.
I'm not sure about, if EMS goes in at the pier and it's high tide and the beach is very crowded, it's going to take them a long time to get down to 39th Street. If I just look at response times. That's my concern. Minutes can mean a difference between life and death.
well,
Would CAMA approve that? Because if you're going to put a road through there, essentially a road.
Right.
Yeah, a road through there, then you're going to have to take out a good, a good hunk of dunes.
It's gonna be just like the east end. There'll be some stabilization that has to occur and everything, but it's one of the permissible, uses,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
One of the benefits of 39th Street is that for everything that is west of 40th Street is really hard, takes a long time to get to. It's not just going from the gazebo to 39th and 40th. That we have lots of people that go down there, and we do have responsibilities down in that area. So
And I will remind y'all real quick, while we're talking on this, just for full disclosure, it would become an emergency access, which, just like the east end, which means it needs to be blocked off from general public. It would be for just emergency access use only for vehicles.
so pedestrians won't be able to walk down there?
Well, it doesn't stop them now on the east end either, but it would have a gate up.
I think just repair 39th Street.
I agree.
If you'd like,
I don't-
to go forward and see if the homeowners will even entertain the idea.
I'll see if Dustin's already prepared the numbers and all that, just to make his presentation to y'all, but we'll just
Yeah.
also have the numbers ready for boardwalk replacement.
Because we're putting.
I'd like a sense of the impact, the cost, and particularly, from the fire department, the impact of response time in an emergency. I'm not willing to go either way right now.
And I guess the last thing from all that y'all brought together here would be the additional personnel for public safety. Is that something y'all are supportive of looking at the numbers, or is that something that you just
You know,
want to
before we-
kibosh?
I would like to,
certainly
I
need
would
to
like
look
to
at-
hear what the departments say,
Right. I mean, I don't
in
chief
terms of their
them,
needs and their mission.
Okay,
We need to look at it.
all right, is there a number cutoff you're looking at as far as personnel? Because if I ask the departments how many people they need, they'll come back with several.
I think they can justify their need. If there's a need they will justify it to our satisfaction.
All right.
I think it should be up to the department heads to come to us and ask us, tell
All
us
right.
what they need.
I'm just going back to that no tax increase request and the fact that you also want to have an overarching goal of reduction of tax.
Again, just look at it. If we can look at 1 cent, Rich wants 4 cents, John wants neutral. Just look at, 1 cent decrease and keep it in revenue neutral. If we look at those two numbers, Tara could do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, just look at them.
She could do it. All right, that's all that I think y'all listed. I think we hit everything. So broad goals wise, talking about the tax part, comprehensive job, and just meeting y'all with rough numbers so that y'all can make final decisions at probably the 19th and the April meetings, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That works.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Presentations will be the first week of March. Don't forget, you've had the calendar in your packet.
Yeah. 5, 6, and 7, March.
Right. I don't know how long they'll take, so come prepared.
Okay.
In other words, bring lunch.
Lisa, bring lunch.
We can order you some pizza.
Any other discussion
Have a pizza
on the
party.
budget? At
I'm
this time, I'd
fine
like to, at this time, I'd like to have public comments on anything you'd like to talk about. State your name and address, please. Any public comments? Now it's your time.
I just wanted to make sure. My name is Jim Skiff, 414 33rd Street. On 4 separate occasions, I raised an issue with a previous town manager and one of the previous mayors regarding the sidewalk that we're building on Main Street over on the island. And my main concern was how it was going to be maintained. And now that they're working on it, I have additional concerns. First is from a safety aspect. They're leaving what I call hunks of open non-sidewalk, I guess that's just part of their plans. But how they're putting cones and blocking those things when people are trying to walk across it is just being done terribly. The other thing is the surface, which I thought would be a smooth surface, is actually a very rough surface. And to me, it's just going to mean more sand and gravel going on the sidewalks. And I don't know who is responsible for the actual determining what was the surface was going to be. But if you take a piece of, it's just extremely rough. And I've taken some pictures of it. But in my mind, it'll, within a short period of time with cars going over it, it'll just begin to crumble. It's like they put cement down and then just put rock on top of it.
Jim, I think the reason they did it because it had to be impervious.
Well, maybe impervious, but
Impervious.
if you take a look at the quality of the work that's being done there, it's not good.
That's actually to design. That's how a pervious sidewalk is. And as far as its maintenance, we've gone through the process of buying the sweeper and everything. That thing will be swept on a regular basis to keep it out as per the stormwater permit.
Okay, I just raised the issue because
Right.
I don't think, other than blasting it with a hose and water, that you're going to be able to keep that thing clean.
Yeah, they understand it's going to be a challenge and they'll probably be out there daily, especially in the summertime. But they have bought the equipment that is necessary to clean it.
Okay,
And clean off the bike lanes too at the same time.
okay, I understand that. And then the other thing, and I just mentioned this, I try and keep up with the continuing saga of Jaguar Lair, and I understand that this council is far removed from when that decision was made. The only thing I'd urge is that we try and minimize any more expense or town money being spent on that, because my gut feel is, based on everything I've seen over the years on it, we're gonna be sitting here and the developer will never, ever meet the guidelines that were established. Just my opinion.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, and a year from now, I will come back and with pictures of the sidewalk, because I just think it's gonna be a disaster.
I hope not.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jim Tennant, 641 Kings Trail Drive. The past mayor had asked for any kind of comments that would come for parking over on the beach. And I think I have a couple of items, and could be done now and not wait for a year and a half, 2 years for somebody to come in and tell us how it should be done. If the Public Works would remove structures and illegal signs over there on the beach where he says you can't park, or they have things like their mailboxes stuck just anywhere. If you identify a place where you can put the mailboxes and or identify the driveways. And I think there's a regulation on how wide they can be. I think it's around 20 feet.
Correct.
And if you would identify them and mark them so that they know where they can drive over your new sidewalks, you're not going to have the whole width of the a lot as driveway, and you can drive anywhere. If you have destruction on them, it'll be just in the area of the driveway. And if that's identified in some way so that the people using the parking over there know where they can legally park without getting in a confrontation from a renter or the property owner saying you can't park there because it's my driveway, and their whole lot is driveway. So I think those two things would eliminate a lot of confrontations and would also help identify for people trying to look for parking where it's legal to park. Just my thoughts.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Yes, sir.
I'm Michael Fole, 642 Oyster Bay Drive. With the parking, again, first I have a question about, you're concerned about parking. If you build a dog park, where are the people going to park that are bringing their dogs to this place? That's something to consider, you know. But my main concern now is talking about, as the last gentleman said, parking on the beach. We've been here for like 22 years, and we like to go over to the beach, and as a lot of people like to do, they like to go down to 40th Street to see the sunset at sunset. And down at that area, there's some changes that I feel can be made. One is there's no parking here at the corner between 39th and 40th Street. That I don't know what the reason for that is, but 2 cars could park there. On the beach side between 39th and 40th Street, there's a house there that has bushes that are overgrowing even the bike path. So if somebody riding a bike down here can ride into those bushes and just, you know, get their face. And I think looking at things like that, and as the last gentleman says, some of the other signs, maybe you can have more parking over at the beach. And that would be better for the town as a whole, because you have people, as I said, visiting and wanting to go down to the end or anywhere along the beach. If they, you know, just take a look at it over there and maybe do something about it.
I just want to address
you.
something.
Thank you,
to
Mike.
Is that, you know, down the road, we're looking at the end of Main Street, from 40th Street to the marsh now is owned by Sunset Beach, is going to be owned by Sunset Beach, correct? From 40th Street to the marsh.
Possibly.
Possibly.
That all depends on what the state and everything.
The state has asked us to put a kayak ramp there, so maybe with a kayak ramp, we can have a deck. The things we'll look into in the future if we get it from the state. Karen? Sorry.
Clarification, when you say a kayak rack from the end of the street into the canal,
Yes.
well, that will be removed, or that isn't gonna happen.
Well, no, because it'll be just with, not, hopefully not taking any parking spaces out, but we're in the beginning stages of that right now.
Karen Joseph, 915 Sandpiper Bay Drive. First of all, I believe I am owed an apology. I did not say one word during your little altercation with Mr. Serrato. So whether it's his responsibility or the Mayor Pro Tem's responsibility, but somebody owes me an apology.
Karen's counsel would like to apologize to you for Rich's behavior.
Thank you. Unfortunately, one more time, the Sunset Beach Town Council will be in the Beacon. And we will be more embarrassed than we were last week. I don't know what it's going to take, but every week we look worse and worse and worse. In regard to Mr. Corbett's list from the community meeting, number 7, concerns with cabanas. You know that the town's residents are really not happy with the decision you made. And if you wanted to look good as a council, you'd have a committee on that topic. And that committee could do the work and find out how the taxpayers feel about the way it used to be and the way it is now. Because I know I hear all kinds of complaints from people who say, I need a cabana on the beach and I can't put it up. So if you want to look good to your residents and taxpayers, I would advise you to create that committee. Also, Angel Trace Road, it's owned by Sea Trail and Mark Saunders. That's who owns it. I'm glad you are going to consider hiring a committee of professional to deal with the parking issue once and for all. You can accept their report, you can reject their report. The island is not getting any bigger. We have more people coming to live in Sunset Beach who want to actually go to the beach. They need a place to park. If there's parking, that's wonderful. If we run out of space, they'll go to Ocean Isle. So I hope that you will deal with those two issues and the issue of our image, which is getting worse and worse.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, council members. Dave Marsland, 910 Oyster Point Drive, or as they would say up north where I lived before on Cape Cod, Oyster Point Drive. This is my first meeting that I've attended of the council, and hopefully future meetings will be a little more civil than this. I do want to thank the police chief, though, on the alligator situation. My wife and I know the person who took the pictures, and I think the chief knows him too. His name is Terry. He's not a local resident. He lives in North Myrtle Beach, but he's a photographer, and he really likes the alligators and all the birds that people come down here for. One of the key issues was, you know, nobody wants to have the police chief or our town administrator have to appear on the network news at night because a child was eaten or taken or mauled by an alligator. And I think that was one of the biggest points that I remember talking to the chief about. It's the perception and the image. And up north on Cape Cod, they had a problem with sharks. And I think they've filmed several shark weeks there. And the problem was because there were a lot of seals, and the sharks eat the seals. So they're very concerned because it is a tourist attraction. The beach is up there. They were very concerned about the sharks. So down here, the alligators are a big attraction. I also want to just say, Mayor Weiss seemed like he was a good man. He seemed like he was doing a good job. We all have our reasons for for being where we are and not being where we are. Since he resigned, I have given some consideration to applying for the mayor position. I think if my wife watches the YouTube of this meeting, she's probably going to have me go and have a brain scan or a CAT scan done. That being said, I hope that when they advertise for the position, it's clearly stated what the function of the mayor is. I think, you know, if somebody wants to run to be a councilman and make the decisions in town, then that's what they should do. If they want to run to be the mayor or put their name in to be the mayor, they have to realize that you're really not making decisions except in a tie vote and when somebody's absent. So there's more to that job than I think some people may have, or maybe I misstated that. There's less to the job than maybe some people thought it was. So I don't want to make the decisions. I'm too new here. I'm still going to give consideration to putting my name in for becoming the mayor. So if anybody else is out there watching on YouTube or in the audience, I guess we need competition. So I was a selectman up north and, you know, ran many meetings, was on many committees up there. And since my wife moved down here, I saw Mayor Weiss at the Living Shoreline project. My wife and I were helping. I had an inspection appointment and I got there a little late. I got there just in time for lunch. And my wife digs me on that all the time. But anybody who helps out, anybody who's performing a public service as a council person, a mayor, a volunteer on committees, they put a lot of time into it. And I respect anybody who does that. And I think everybody, you all have to respect each other too for what you do. Everybody's going to have different opinions, but hate to say, can't we all get along? But I hope that that can happen in the future.
So do we.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comments? Ruth?
Ruth Reynolds, 703 North Shore Drive. I think I heard that the restroom at the gazebo needs to be replaced.
Dustin says one of them does, yeah.
Okay. May I make a suggestion that the one in front, when you enter the gazebo area, is an eyesore? Could it possibly be moved and replace the one that needs to be replaced? Because it's, as I said, I think it's really, really an eyesore. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
Any other comments? I see there's no other comments. I'd like to adjourn this meeting.